Big banks' Q3 earnings provide a boost for U.S. markets, and leading pharmaceuticals, Micure, witnessed a share price rebound, gaining about 21% following its announced sale of a 10% equity stake to Drosk Investment Management Limited. Does Micure's valuation substantiate this move, and how sound an investment is this for Drosk? Of course, we'll be having that conversation later. Also, Nigeria's first listed power generation company, Group Power PLC, doubles its pre-tax profit, and with almost 200% in share price appreciation, is the stock overvalued? All this and much more on the show today. You are tuned into Market Pulse on News Central in partnership with Nairametrics. I am Joanna Mustafa.
And I'm Frank Fagbo. Let's begin with some of the top stories from the global market. If you look at what is happening regarding the global markets, you will see that Europe is where the stock 600 equities index was unchanged. The investors in China-exposed companies are waiting China's finance minister for any detail on additional spending by Beijing to support its economy. China's CXI 300 index is down more than 3% this week, partly reversing last week's 8.5% jump, while the US-listed Chinese stocks also dropped in pre-market trade. The S&P 500 futures steadied today as big US banks, including JP Morgan, Chase and Co., as well as Wells Fargo, all of them, the sentiment with third quarter earnings, and investors are up literally. They have their eyes glued on the screen to find out what is going to be the outcome of their Q2 earnings. We're also looking at what is happening regarding pre-market. Pre-market reported a surprising gain in net income. Wells Fargo and Co. also rose about 3%, as it's also all the profits are being forecasted. The Nasdaq 100 futures slipped by 0.3%, dragged down by 6% pre-market drop in Tesla Incorporation shares after its robotaxi was seen as light on details.
All right, of course, there's a lot happening there. Last night, Tesla held its long-awaited Hollywood unveiling of its driverless robo-taxi. Elon Musk highlighted that the company would start building the fully autonomous cybercab by 2026 at a price of less than $30,000. And of course, showed off a robo-van capable of transporting 20 people around town, which is a product he said would reshape cities by turning parking lots into parks. Tesla investors and experts were underwhelmed, and they were expectant of more concrete details on how the company plans to transform from an automaker into an autonomous driving and artificial intelligence titan. They expected a more solid business plan, but obviously they did not get that. And of course, they reacted on the market. Tesla shares fell 5% before the bell today. Remember, these shares have plummeted in recent years over fears of cheaper EV rivals eating into Tesla's market share, but has been up nearly 50% since April when Elon Musk announced the shift to robo-taxis. Shares of ride-hailing firms Uber, Lyft, and, on the other hand, were up about 4%. It's possibly a sign that Musk's announcements were not seen as a threat to the company. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. And we'll also see whether Tesla's Q3 results provide a boost. And of course, that's set to be released next week, Wednesday. So wait and see again. That's your global markets highlight. When we return, we'll come to the local equities market. Speaking of the NGX. All right, coming to, of course, activities on the Nigerian exchange for today and possibly the week. It's the final trading day of the week, and we closed in the green. It's the second day in the green this week, so marking 2 days of positive trade this week. Somewhat what happened last week. Hopefully this is not a trend in October. The bulls, please come back. But the all-share index did gain today. If we can have the charts up, there was that gain in the markets today. It gained 13 basis points. We're now up to still 97,000 region, but 97,606.63. Market capitalization is at 56.09 trillion naira. Coming to the top gainers, Sterling Bank, interesting enough, made it as a top gainer. It's not ever so often that we see, Sterling Bank make it as a top gainer, but they're reclaiming losses over, the past 4 trading days. They have been in the red, so I guess today they're trying to make a comeback, up 9.45%. Consolidated Hallmark PLC as well. All right, we're going on a break. We'll be on a break right now, and we'll be back to take more on what's happening on the markets. All right, you're still tuned in to Market Pulse here on News Central. Apologies for that break, but let's get straight back into the markets. And of course, with the top gainers, sterling topping that list, consolidated hallmark as well, picking up from there. And Meteor has been somewhat on a roll, and this is off of acquisition from Zoris. They gained about 10% stakes in that company. And of course, there's a lot of conversation around it. So Meteor as well in the bulls. I mean, the bulls have that stock. And we're also seeing the others as well complete that chart of top gainers. Coming to top losers, you know, we've seen quite a number of profit taken going on here. Deep Cap as well is down 9.93%. NEM as well down 9.71%. Dow Communications, Tantalizers, and Dangote Sugar. I think this happened as well last week. On a Friday or a Thursday, Dangote Sugar was also down, but it's down again today, 3.13%. Coming now to what's happening in the currency markets, of course, the Naira strengthened on the official window to 1,621 Naira for Kobo. South Africa's rand as well strengthened against the dollar today after U.S. data firmed up bets on another interest rate cut by the Federal Reserve next month. How big, how small, we will have to wait and see. And of course, it's also election month. Up next, we're going to have analyst at Green Ticker Research, Onome Hovoriole. He joins us for Pulse of the Day. All right, joining us to discuss activities across the markets on Pulse of the Day is Onome Hovoriole. Special request to say that as slowly as I can, but it's a pleasure to have you in. He's an analyst at Green Ticker Research. Hello, Onome.
Hi.
Yeah, I guess you're all set for Friday with the outfit. But of course, let's get a look at what has happened in the markets this week so far. And some of the stocks that did get our attention. Meteor, we just talked about that briefly when we were doing the breakdown. Meteor has, you know, gained significantly since the news of its acquisition. I think about 21%. The news of Zoris getting 10% stake in the company. But then there are questions following this acquisition, whether or not Meteor's valuation substantiates, you know, this deal, and whether or not it's a good purchase or sound investment.
I mean, I think it is, because from a valuation perspective, it's trading at 21 times earnings. The market currently is trading at 17 times earnings, so it's just 4 times higher than what the market is doing, right? And when you consider the fact that it's a growth stock, operating profits year on year, last numbers I looked at, up 20%. Every probability to go higher. So I think it's a good buy, at least for the party at the moment.
But looking at the macroeconomic conditions, you know, here in Nigeria as well, we're seeing a lot of pharmaceuticals exit the country. You know, does that in any way, you know, support this growth that you're projecting?
I mean, you know, you have good years and bad years, you know, but for that space, and if you look at other players in that space, so you have the likes of Nymed, you have the likes of Fitsin, May and Baker, they've been doing okay. So I think that in a challenging environment, you've been able to do operating profits up 20% year on year. So I think they'll do fine.
So no concerns with Meteor? No concerns, all right. Okay, a growth stock worth looking out for. Another stock that did catch our eye was Cono. They have seen their share price double. Of course, they announced a dividend payout just, you know, of late, and it drew attention to the stock. They have seen their share price double. What would you identify as the fundamentals driving, you know, Cono's appreciation in share price?
I mean, broadly, if you look at it, the market is what's up, maybe circa 30%. So I think, and just generally, the company has done pretty okay. The only peeve I have against them is that they're always perpetually late. And even when you look at the dividend for 2023 financial year, it's being paid, it's going to get paid when? November. So essentially, you're paying me the dividends almost at the end of your current financial year. So other than that, yeah,
it takes a patient investor to hold these stocks, right? This stock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, looking at, of course, all stocks are somewhat trending at the moment, right? We have Owando as well. So looking at Cono side by side, would I say competitor? Owando with the expansion, how would you, you know, compare some of their fundamentals here, you know, on the NGX?
Honestly, I think that for the petroleum sector, in my view, if you're not doing Seplat and maybe to an extent Total, for the others, I don't find them pretty compelling at the moment, because the downstream sector, as long as you have some sort of pseudo-regulation of petrol prices, they're always going to struggle from time to time. And so far, so good. So if you're not upstream, and even with Owando numbers are late, right? We're here to get what's audited 2023 numbers, I think, because of, the big bats they've had in the past. So for me, I think if I'm going to do petroleum, I would only consider, say, Seplat, maybe to a smaller extent, Total.
Okay. I mean, that's interesting to hear. Owando, we know there's been a lot of news, and that's what's been driving the rally around Owando as a stock, their acquisition, and I think the global expansion now to Trinidad. I think they're one of the top 3 when it comes to biddings. There's some that are, looking at the stock and seeing some of the prospects, but with some of the things you're saying now about the stock, I mean, what you're standing your ground that's, with the oil and gas stocks there?
I mean, because Owando, I'm yet to see numbers for this year. So yes, we have the news of the acquisition and all that, but I need to see numbers for this year. Last numbers I checked, as an investor, there are 2 ways you make money. You make money from dividends, and you make money from capital appreciation. In terms of capital appreciation, Owando has done well this year. But from a dividend perspective, I don't think Owando will be paying a dividend anytime soon. So
that's focusing on the results as an investor. Fair enough. And of course, today it's even in the red and has been quite volatile of late. Let's come to, still staying pretty much within the sector, Geregu. They have released their earnings results, 9 months, results, right, for 2024. And they have seen pre-tax profits double. Its share price also reflects, that growth. It has surged, 188% year to date. But there are some that are saying that the stock is, even with that appreciation and even with the results, is overvalued. What would you say substantiates, such claims?
If you look at the earnings, right, annualized, which is just a simple way of saying what's it going to earn in total this year. Let's say it's going to do 4-5 naira a share. Stock is traded at over 1,000 naira, right? Divide 1,000 by 5, that gives you what, 200 XPE. So from that perspective, it's trading what, 5-10 times larger than average what the market is doing. So yes, I'd say it's overvalued, but the question is, there's not much of liquidity in that stock.
Right.
So till you have liquidity, I don't think you'd see the stock find its level.
So there's a lot of, there's not enough in and out with that stock. If you're buying the stock, you have to consider it long term. And would you think there's enough, reason, right, incentive to hold that stock long term, Geregu?
At its current price, no. But if there's some correction of a sort, maybe one could start to consider. But I think right now it's pretty pricey.
Pretty pricey, okay. I mean, that's about it. But I mean, let's take a look at the NGX for the week as we tie things together. The performance, even this month, right? We're seeing it pretty much mirror what happened last week. 2 days in the green, and it's not as strong of a bullish run there in the green. It's more in the red. Some analysts are still optimistic that perhaps we can see that correction and gain back some of the losses from Q3. Do you still stand on that ground, or you think there's so much happening in the economy now that can't drive that?
I mean, if you look at it from January to date, you probably are up over 20% or 30% last I checked. From that angle, we've done pretty well. You compare it to what a 1-year T-bill is doing, it's around 19-20%. So if you bought, averagely, mirror the market, you probably have beaten a 1-year T-bill. At some point in time, you would have beaten inflation. So from that angle, January to date has been a pretty good year, and I think overall we should probably end the year positive. So if you take it from a wider perspective, January to date, then it's pretty much good.
Okay, all right, we'll see. Thank you for your optimism. Onome Ohovoriale, analyst at Green Ticket Research. It's been a pleasure having you in.
Thank you for having me.
All right, in person as well. Up next, we have Frank Fagbo bringing us the key metrics here on Market Pulse, so stay tuned for that.
All right, so today we're taking a look at 10 countries with the highest foreign investment into Nigeria in the second quarter of 2024. And this is the key metrics. Let's take a look at some of the countries. It's a listicle. The first on our list is United Kingdom. We're seeing that the United Kingdom has invested a whopping sum of $1.1 billion. That's 752% year-on-year increase. And moving on to the next is Netherlands. The Netherlands, we have $577 million. That's 871% year-on-year increase. The third on our list is the Republic of South Africa. Republic of South Africa, we have over there $255 million. That's 86.91% year-on-year increase. The next on our list is Mauritius. Mauritius is a whopping $250 million. That's 1,369% year-on-year increase. The fifth is the UAE, United Arab Emirates, $143 million. That's 41.82% year-on-year increase. Remember that this is against the backdrop of the entire issues around the halal economy. It looks like they're very much interested right now in the Nigerian economy. The United States, $81 million. I'm sure you're shocked because this 70% year-on-year decline. A lot of investigation has to be done regarding why we're having lower investment from the United States. Saudi Arabia is $54.55 million. Significant year-on-year increase from near zero. And they're coming on, I guess the halal economy is literally attracting the Asian blocs. Look at what is happening. Hong Kong is also there, $15.47 million. That's 531% year-on-year increase. And Switzerland is $14.55 million. Renewed interest after absence in the Q2 of 2023. Belgium, as the final one on our list, $14.32 million. That's 75.79% year-on-year decline. I'm surprised about the United States and Belgium.
Yeah, I mean, interesting to see what's going on across the globe in that regard. And I'm sure conversations will continue and you'll continue to bring us those key metrics here on Market Pulse. That is our show for today and the week. So stay with us. We'll join you again next week for Market Pulse, tracking what's happening on the markets at 4 p.m. West African time every weekday. Enjoy your profits. Hopefully you're able to scramble something out of what happened on the markets this week. I am Joanna Mustafa.
And I'm Frank Fagbo.